సో గుడ్ మార్నింగ్. ఏంటి ఈరోజు సర్ప్రైజ్? టైంకి ఎంతమంది వచ్చారు? ఓ, ఓకే ఓకే. నాట్ మై ఫాల్ట్. స్పెషల్ క్లాస్. ఐ టోల్డ్ దెమ్ 8:30 to 10:30 yesterday. 8:30 to 10:30. ఓకే. నేను ఆశ్చర్యపోయాను, ఏంటో ఇంత శ్రద్ధ వచ్చేసింది, అందరికి టైంకి వచ్చారు. ఓకే ఫ్రెండ్స్, we were discussing about moderate phase yesterday, right? Now we'll see how extremism ideologically is important phase and how it led the Swadeshi movement. As I said, both are fused. Just copy it, I will explain. Extremism in Indian national movement, sorry, 1905 onwards, opposite to moderate political ideology in approach to British rule, extreme in demands such as Swaraj, diametrically opposite beliefs and methods of moderates. One believed in the ability of masses, then new demands and methods. Okay, just listen, then you can write below this after some time. Basically, extremism is a very important phase, and you should understand that there is a difference between extremism and revolutionary terrorism. Okay, generally extremists are terrorists, normal usage, English usage these days. But when we say extremism, we are not talking about revolutionary terrorist. Then extremism is also called as militant nationalism. Okay, the moment you see militant, you don't see revolutionary terrorism. Okay, revolutionary terrorism is known as revolutionary terrorism only. If you are seeing extremism or terms like militant nationalism, that is this phase only. Okay, it's a main part of our main phase of national movement. So now what is extremism? We defined how we defined moderate political ideology. Moderate in its approach to British rule. They were not demanding freedom, right? In terms of their demands, in terms of their methods of struggle, the beliefs about the British rule and its impact in India, they are moderate. That's why we call them as moderates. Very simple definition of extremism is opposite to that. However, opposite to moderate political ideology in its approach to British rule. This passes through all elements, whether it is their belief whether British rule is good for India or not. They believed it's very bad, whereas moderates believed British rule is inherently good for India, right? Secondly, moderates never demanded Swaraj. Okay, when Tilak and others demanded Swaraj in 1905 and 1906 up to 1907, their ideology of Swaraj is freedom. Okay, later after 1914, the Swaraj became home rule. They are ready to compromise. Again in 1929, we have the declaration of Purna Swaraj from the Complete Congress platform. So the first group of nationalists in India or national leaders in India in the national movement who had demanded freedom is extremists. Initially, Swaraj means freedom. Even Tilak was saying, Swaraj was my birthright, I will have it. He meant freedom, not self-rule or home rule. Okay. Later it changed. Then another major aspect is the moderates believed that Indian masses were not ready for political struggles. They need to be educated and all that. Whereas extremists believed that Indian masses were capable, and unless they are brought in, it won't attain the effectiveness. See, numbers are required. Nationalism is a number game at the end of the day. Without numbers, we can't convince or force the British to give the benefits to us, political benefits to us. So, they are diametrically opposite in these two aspects. One in the ability of the masses, and then new demands and methods. Demands I already told you. Of course, in the operational dynamics, once the extremism took over, the second important demand of extremists became the annulment of partition of Bengal. Okay, that is the main demand, though moderates also demanded, but extremist demand was very severe. And as I said, from 1905 July onwards, it was extremists who led the Vande Mataram movement. Okay, that was also one of the demands of extremists as well as moderates. But these are more fierce in their demand as far as partition of Bengal cancellation is concerned. Then in terms of methods, they brought in new tools which are very effective for mass mobilization. Okay, moderates essentially believed in intellectual campaigns. They used to write in newspapers, they used to write in articles and discussions, debates, which are cut off from the common people. Okay, so how do you mobilize people? Mass mobilization is they were never bothered about masses, so they did not have any mass mobilization techniques. If you write an article in Hindu, how many people will read even today? right? Not the main masses of India don't read Hindu, right? Times of India, Economic Times, how many people will read? Not many people will read, right? So still the situation is like that. So whereas in those days, moderates were essentially trying to bring out an intellectual transformation in India, and mass mobilization was not their agenda. It was not on their agenda. Whereas extremists, because they believed that masses are capable and they should be brought in, Tilak, for the first time, started thinking about how do we mobilize masses. You know, they have taken the route of conducting mass festivals, for example. You know, Tilak was the first to start something called Ganesh Festival in 1893 and Shivaji Festival in 1895. Okay, these two are very important. Normally, religion attracts people, you know, obviously, even today. So, we'll say that, you know, I will give a lecture on nationalism, nobody will come. But you say I am doing Ganesh Puja, all come take prasadam, prasadam bhaktuలని కొంతమంది ఉంటారు. వీళ్ళు డెఫినెట్గా వస్తారు. ఓకే, ఇవి నేను కూడా అంతే. మెయిన్ గుడికి అంటే ఈ దద్దోజనం ఈ ప్రసాదం టైప్కి వెళ్తాను తప్ప భక్తి అంటే ఇంట్లోనే ప్రూవ్ చేయొచ్చు కదా. సో ఆ రోజుల్లో కూడా ఎక్కువ ఇంకా ప్రసాదం భక్తులు చాలామంది ఎక్కువ ఉంటారు. ఓకే, సో నేషనలిజం బ్రిటిష్ రూల్ అంటే అసలు ఎవరికి అర్థమయ్యేదే కాదు ఆ రోజుల్లో ఇండియన్ మాసెస్కి. బట్ ఐ విల్ డూ గణేష్ అండ్ దెన్ యూ సెటప్ హ్యూజ్ గణేష్ పాండాల్స్, డూ సమ్ పూజ, ఓ 2 నిమిషాలు పూజ చేసి ఒక 5 గంటలు నేషనలిజం మీద మాట్లాడడం కూర్చోబెట్టి జనాలను. ప్రసాదం ఆకర్నిస్తాం, ముందు ప్రసాదం ఇస్తే వెళ్ళిపోతారు, రైట్? సో దిస్ ఈజ్ హౌ తిలక్ వాజ్ వెరీ బ్రిలియంట్. హిట్ సి ఇన్ దోస్ డేస్, even today, if you want to do a social movement or whatever, how do you get people to participate? Everybody is busy. But if you say religious, people will definitely come. So Ganesh festival is a wonderful, Ganesh festival and later Shivaji festival is a wonderful mass mobilization techniques started by Tilak, and later people started following various local festivals and others, getting people in the name of religion and all that. So new mass mobilization methods of organizing religious as well as historical festivals or secular festivals is one way where people were about to be, you know, educated on national movement, because obviously the masses who would attend these meetings cannot read English newspapers. Even Telugu newspapers and Marathi newspapers also they can't read. Most of the people are illiterate even today, right? So the new mass mobilization techniques or methods are very, very important. Then in terms of fighting, they had for the first time had a very wonderful paradigm that is called Swadeshi and boycott. Swadeshi and boycott, or boycott and Swadeshi, whatever, these are like two sides of the same coin. For example, if you boycott foreign clothes, we cannot ask all Indians to roam naked, right? They need to have clothes. So boycott foreign clothes but make Swadeshi, right? So supplement. Similarly, boycott foreign goods, make Swadeshi things. Okay, even sugar imports were also not encouraged in those days. You know, in Swadeshi movement, if somebody is trying to give temples some prasad made with sugar, they never used to take. Priests refused to take that. We don't accept foreign sugar sweets. You know, so much pull was there for Swadeshi demand. Okay, so boycott of foreign goods while promoting the Swadeshi element is the second important method that they wanted to do. And you know, friends, this is very interesting. Yesterday I was telling you that the greatest contribution of moderates is economic nationalism. Now why Swadeshi and boycott? Because moderates successfully proved that British rule was economic in nature. The one way to affect British rule and to spoil their trip is to affect their economically. So if we boycott foreign goods, the British businesses will get impacted. You know, British revenue will get impacted. So that is the fundamental idea, and they should thank actually moderates for giving them this idea that economic nationalism, as I said, economic nationalism, you know, led to designing of new methods like boycott and Swadeshi for the first time by extremist leaders. You know, all these 4 leaders. We have 3, Tilak, Balagandhar Tilak, right? Then Bipin Chandra Pal, Lajpat Rai, and Aurobindo Ghosh. These are the top leaders. You know, others are followers. So that is Swadeshi and boycott. Then passive resistance. Passive resistance is a very interesting concept. On the basis of passive resistance, Mahatma Gandhi had later built Satyagraha. Now what is passive resistance? Simply let us say Satyagraha is totally inaction. For example, what Gandhiji has said, if somebody slaps here, show here. If he slaps there also, show something else. Get beaten. That is the point Gandhiji had said, right? No resistance. Don't raise a single hand in self-defense. That is Satyagraha. Whereas extremist passive resistance is at least you try to stop them. If they're trying, you don't go and beat, but if somebody is trying to push you, you just stop them. That is kind of passive resistance. Okay. So the mantras of extremism are one, belief in mass mobilization and their ability to fight for political struggles. The other one is Swadeshi, then boycott. You can see it as two are supplementing each other. Then the passive resistance. Okay. These are totally different from what moderates were practicing earlier. So this kind of tendency, why it started developing? It started developing right from 1893, right below this. Just need to complete this. Okay, new demands and methods, right below that. Okay. Apart from Swaraj, which was never demanded by moderates, Okay. The extremists took up the demand for the cancellation, annulment, any word you can use, or withdrawal, the withdrawal of partition of Bengal, next point, their methods of struggle were mass mobilization through popular festivals, in brackets you write example Ganesh festival 1893, and Shivaji festival 1895 by Tilak, and close the brackets. Mass mobilization through popular festivals, then close the bracket, and then write campaign for boycott of foreign goods, campaign for boycott of foreign goods and promotion of Swadeshi, and adopting passive resistance. Okay. Now just listen for some time, then we will add more points below what we have written on the causes for extremism. See, obviously it is not too difficult to gauge the causes. First of all, we were talking about the limitations of moderates. Now sitting after almost many years, almost 100 years, 125 years after moderates, the Swadeshi movement. Okay, we can. It's easy for us to analyze their achievements and contributions, like we have discussed yesterday. But in those days, there was a lot of disaffection about the moderate methods. See what happens. This Sumit Sarkar writes beautifully when he says, moderates were overshadowed by their own political achievements. They outlived their own achievements. Now, what is the objective of Indian National Congress? Early nationalists are moderates, right? To build a nation. Fine. To create public awareness. They created already to a level by 1905, 1893, 1900. But they did not realize. It is as simple as that. Now, I want to make you master history. I say you read. You are reading. After 1 year, I say please come to classes again. You have already read. Will you come? No. So, the political education is happening. The public were getting more and more aware, but they did not realize it. They did not realize their own achievements of making people, some section of the people, aware about the national issues or political issues. So, people were already got some awareness. They were waiting for next level of action. How many days we will keep on saying we will prepare people, you already prepared. Okay. So, moderates failed to realize their own contribution, that if our target is to create political education, we already created to a level. We need to take it to the next level. Yes or no? So, that they missed. Okay. They still were thinking about the old methods without realizing that some people are already ready to get into this national movement. We need to accommodate them. Okay. Second important point is 1892 Council Act was a major blow for moderates, because they themselves created lot of hype, as I mentioned yesterday, that see we are loyal supporters to the British rule and they would listen to us. They said, see, we are not opposing British rule in India. We are great lovers of Queen Victoria. Why will not they listen to us? Right? So they were also expecting that this kind of loyalty will win them some concessions. British ignored. So it was a slap on the face of moderates, that what they have been saying, that don't worry, we'll let you political concessions, we'll involve more Indians in Indian administration. Nothing has happened, only 6 people. 10 to 16, right? So this was a big shock that moderates were not being taken seriously by the British. Okay, that awareness is also one of the important thing. Then the next important aspect is there was the increasing awareness about the increasing oppression of the British. See, British rule was very interesting in India. They constantly calibrate their policy to the evolving situation in the national movement. Right from 1895 onwards, they have become somewhat skeptical of the growth of national movement. Moderates did not understand, but they understood the impact of the national movement and Indian National Congress. So, by 1895, they were getting more and more serious about curbing any kind of opposition to the British rule or criticism against it. The best example is in 1897, something called Rand murders case. Okay, we have a plague commissioner, in Pune, where it was affected by cholera. The plague is this one contagious, right? So, infectious disease. So, when some bubonic plague happens, for example, we were affected by COVID, right? When COVID happens, we will prevent COVID or we eliminate COVID patients. We can't take, like a dictator, we can't shoot all the COVID patients. No, we have to try to provide health care, whatever, What this Rand in Pune did is, he is appointed as plague commissioner for Pune, who was supposed to provide health care and stop this health problem. Okay. He started eliminating patients instead of plague. Okay. He started sending police to the homes. If somebody is sick, take them out and take them out of the villages or Pune city, town, and then almost create a situation where they will die. If some of our loved ones are sick, we are worried about them, right? It's not that we want to get rid of them. So this created lot of opposition. Tilak for the first time got very wild about this. Then he wrote a write-up. I think I told you this earlier. He wrote a write-up. He has two papers, Maratha and Kesari, both Maratha and English and Marathi language. And he wrote a very, very powerful article saying that these people are doing very wrong things. They are like Rakshas. And he was citing quotations from Bhagavad Gita that it is not wrong to punish the criminals. Like what Bhagavad Gita Krishna said, it is, what did he say to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita? They are villains now, they are doing wrong, so you have to punish, you fight. Even though they are your relatives, you fight and kill them. After everybody dies, I will take care. First you kill. That is what Bhagavad Gita message. Okay? So he was citing from Bhagavad Gita saying that these people require punishment. There is nothing wrong in you becoming the deliverer of justice. So two young people, Chapekar brothers, Balakrishna Chapekar and Damodar Chapekar. These two people were, they read this, they got BP and went and killed them. Okay? So they were arrested and they were hanged. Both of them were hanged, and Tilak was given first punishment for 18 months in jail. So this is a landmark, friends. Why it is a landmark? This Rand murders case in 1897, Chapekar brothers, and the imprisonment given to Tilak shows a major shift in the government policy towards Indian developments. Okay? They were now trying to stop any kind of opposition to the British rule or criticism to the British rule, and send a strong message that opposing British will create a lot of punishments for the people. Okay? This kind of oppression is also one of the reasons for emergence of extremism. Okay, next, I already told this earlier, for Indian nationalism, causes for the emergence of Indian nationalism, that is international events. 1896 Battle of Adoba also created lot of confidence among Indians. If Ethiopia or Abyssinia, if they can fight Italy, why can't India can fight Britain? Okay, so this is kind of inspiration that international events that were coming up. And the final point is the partition of Bengal, which was announced in 1903 December. When the plans of partition of Bengal were announced, automatically people were thinking that moderates is a failure, we should take up a bigger mass movement. Right below this, there are various causes for the emergence of extremism, including the opposition to (1892) Council Act, and the disappointment of people with the moderate methods. Right in the same point. Okay. The change in the attitude of British government towards Indian political developments and a policy of oppression as shown the Rand, R-A-N-D, Rand murders case in brackets 1897, Next one, comma, the influence of international events such as activities of the Irish, IRISH, Irish Revolutionary Army and the Battle of Adoba, 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 where Ethiopians defeated Italy. And finally, the partition of Bengal resulted in emergence of extremism. Right, one more point. The moderates had their own contribution in emergence of extremism as the work they had done from 1885 resulted in creation of political awareness in some sections of the society who were ready for the next level of national movement. Add one more sentence. In a way, the moderates were outlived, outlived, by their own contribution. Okay. Next para. The extremist phase got expressed through the Swadeshi movement from 1905 July to 1907 December, when the Surat split in the Congress happened. Okay, right? I will explain. Though the expelled extremists continued to remain separately till their readmission into Congress in 1916, there were no movements led by extremists after the Swadeshi movement. Okay, this very important point you need to know. The only movement organized by extremists in India, led by extremists in India, national movement is Swadeshi movement. Now just listen for some time. What is this anti-partition of Swadeshi movement? There was a Home Secretary called Risley, R-I-S-C-L-Y, Risley. He was the Home Secretary from 1903 onwards, December till the partition, Curzon's time. Curzon is the Viceroy. He made a statement. Bengal united is power. Bengal divided will work for us in many ways politically. Very popular statement. This was a statement he made in 1903 December. Okay. Then Curzon also made a very popular statement that I wanted to see the tottering fall of Calcutta in Indian national movement, which was the seat of Indian National Congress. Okay, see, Calcutta was a kind of cultural capital of India, first cultural intellectual capital of India. Okay, so Calcutta was the hub of all activity because Bengalis are the first intellectuals, whether social religious reforms or national movement, everything came there. So if Bengal is divided, according to Curzon, the national movement will also get affected. So the rising tide of Indian nationalism wanted to be stemmed by partition of Bengal, and they were making no secret of these plans. On one hand, they say that with 78 million population, Bengal is the largest province of British India. 78 million is huge. Okay, so almost 1/3 of British Indian population in those days. So on one hand, they were talking administratively that we are trying to do it for the benefit of the administration and the convenience to people. Administration has become too tough for us to manage it from a single point. So East Bengal, West Bengal would be good. Nobody has an objection if it is really for administrative purpose. But then on one hand, they are making the statements what I have told you, that they are trying to say that we want to divide this to affect national movement. On the next day, they are talking about administrative convenience. So there is a mismatch between the statements. Second, if really there was an administrative issue, they could have planned it better. How they did, they had proposed, later they have effected actually, they proposed in December 1903 that East Bengal with its capital at Dhaka will have majority of the Muslims, and West Bengal with capital at Calcutta will have majority of the Hindus. That is one problem. So religious lines they are trying to segregate. Then there is also one more issue. In the West Bengal, which is Bengali basically, Bengali state where a lot of people are Bengalis. In West Bengal, more than Bengali people, Hindi and Oriya speaking population will be more. So that means they are trying to undermine the Bengali culture. In Bengal, there should be Bengali speaking people if they want to divide it, right? they are trying to make Hindi and Oriya speaking people more than Bengalis, automatically the Bengali language, Bengali culture will be subdued. Okay, so these are the problems why partition of Bengal was not accepted by the people. One, to divide India, Bengal religiously, and this is a major causes for communalism in the British period. Okay, which eventually led to partition of the country, separatist politics and communal clashes and all that. Okay, so this was thoroughly objected by the nationalists, including moderates. Okay, so this is how the movement has started. Why they wanted to partition Bengal? What are the causes? Officially, ostensibly, they said it is administrative convenience because of 78 million population. 78 you have to remember. I will dictate anyway, right? Then unofficially, from the same platform, they keep making statement that the idea is to, politically impact Indian national movement and Indian National Congress and the Bengali culture. The way they announced the partition, the process of partition also proved that they had some vested interest in partitioning the Bengal, not actually the administrative point. So these are the reasons. The moment these plans were out in December 1903, as I already said, moderates started taking this movement. Okay, three leaders I told you: Surendranath Banerjee, K.K. Mitra, P.C. Ray. So they were doing it up to July 1905. They were expecting again, ఇదివరకు చెప్పినట్టే 1892 Council Act లో మేము చేస్తాం మీరు కంగారు పడకండి ఎలా చెప్పారో, they were saying the same thing, but the government did not listen. In July they have announced, and this had immediately changed the leadership of Indian National Congress and the national movement to our trio, okay, Lal Bal Pal, and followed by Aurobindo Ghosh. On August 7th, 1905, the Swadeshi movement or anti-partition movement, which is also called Vande Mataram movement because the slogan became popular. Okay, this was formally launched on August 7, 1905. They announced this launch with the leadership of the moderates. Okay, now why Swadeshi movement is important? If we want to see entire strands of Indian national movement in a miniature, that is Swadeshi movement. Mains lo ila adige avakasam undi. What is Swadeshi movement? What is your name? Ila adagaru. Okay, simple questions they will ask. Swadeshi movement can be seen as a miniature of all strands of Indian national movement, from conservative nationalism to political extremism, from militant nationalism to revolutionary terrorism, from Swadeshi boycott to passive resistance, all can be seen in Swadeshi movement. Okay, so that's why it is called a miniature replica of Indian national movement. All these we see in the subsequent phases. Conservative nationalism is moderation. 1903 December to 1905, moderate leaders were there. Okay, political extremism is revolutionary terrorism. Swadeshi boycott and passive resistance. Swadeshi boycott remained the methods till the end of Indian national movement, right? Even non-cooperation movement we have Swadeshi and boycott, Gandhiji phase. Civil disobedience we have Swadeshi and boycott, right? Revolutionary terrorism was also there in the Swadeshi movement to an extent, and after Swadeshi movement revolutionary terrorism picked up. So all strands ante anni trends pradhananga unde all trends we can see in Swadeshi movement. That's why it is called miniature replica of Indian national movement. Okay, so exactly you can get this quotation: from conservative nationalism to political extremism. I will dictate that. So that is how we need to understand. Now what are the main events in this? What are the main aspects of Swadeshi movement? First of all, it is in Bengal, they said as a protest and demanding the withdrawal of partition of Bengal, which came into effect from October 16, 1905. I told you 2 dates now. Okay, July month you remember, right? July 1905, they officially announced partition of Bengal. Okay, that October 16, 1905, the partition of Bengal will come into force. July they have announced. August 7th, the movement started. Even when the movement started, they implemented the partition of Bengal from October. Now, on the same day, when the partition was announced, came into effect on October 16, entire Bengal, they they have started, having this Rakis Raksha Bandhan Day. They declared it as a Raksha Bandhan Day between the people of East Bengal and West Bengal. They started tying Rakis to each other, and that is how the movement began. Why it is important? If you see the entire spectrum of Swadeshi movement, say from 1905 August 7 to 1907 December, Surat split Varaku. If we see the entire spectrum, the most important development is we have, for the first time, new methods of struggle were deployed. That is Swadeshi and boycott. Now, what is this Swadeshi and boycott, or boycott and Swadeshi? For the first time, they announced that we need to boycott foreign goods, including clothes, then government offices, foreign offices, government offices, British Indian government offices, courts, and schools. These are the main areas of boycott: foreign goods, government offices, government courts, because everybody has a legal issue, government court we have to boycott, and schools. What they did is, they had set up the National College in Calcutta with Aurobindo Ghosh as principal. That is one important thing you need to remember. Then they also announced formation of a National Council of Education to support students who are leaving the schools. The issue is, if we boycott schools, what will happen? Children will lose the academic year, they lose the education. So how do you provide education? So set up a National Council of Education, and it started working on how do we provide education with the nationalists in different villages. They set up makeshift schools. All those students who are not going to schools, they can come to the schools and at least learn something. Exams are very vishayam. So students will learn something. That is the idea. So first decision they have taken is setting up National College in Calcutta with Aurobindo Ghosh, and the same person, Aurobindo Ghosh, was also chairman of this National Council of Education. Then they also had campaigned that we need to have self-reliance. The most beautiful component of Swadeshi movement is self-reliance. Vande Mataram or anti-partition. Atma Shakti. The focus on Atma Shakti or self-reliance is a major campaign. This spread across everywhere, right from the industries. Because we are boycotting foreign goods, there was a campaign asking people to set up industries, given our own capabilities. There could be cottage industries, there could be bigger industries. Prithvish Chandra Ray set up Bengal Chemicals during the Swadeshi movement. This bit was asked in the previous year prelims. I think 2024 prelims, this bit was asked. Bengal Chemicals. Who set up Bengal Chemicals? Prithvish Chandra Ray. This is a drug company. Drug and drugs kadu mandulu, medicines company. Okay, pharmaceutical drugs company. And it was very successful. Till recently it was functioning, now it is sick. Okay. So Bengal Chemicals is a big industry that was set up, but lot of smaller cottage industries were also set up in different parts of Bengal. Of course, not all of them were successful. Endukante business deshabhakti unte nadavadu, dabbulu undali, business nadavali. Right? They were closed except PC's race Bengal Chemicals. But they sent a message of nationalism. The idea here is how nationalism was spreading. It's not that how businesses were growing, but PC Ray Bengal Chemicals was successful. So focus on Atma Shakti. This Atma Shakti also got reflected in the literature, nationalist literature, and also painting. Okay. Now we have Rabindranath Tagore, who wrote Amar Sonar Bangla song at this point of time as a nationalistic song, and which is now national anthem of Bangladesh. Okay. And we have, Dakshina Ranjan Mitra Majumdar, who wrote a book which is popular, very popular, that is called Thakkar Ma Juli. Thakkar Ma Juli is pronounced as Thakur Ma Juli, is nothing but collection of tales for the children. See, చిన్నపిల్లలు ఉన్నప్పుడు అందరూ కథలు చెప్పమంటూ ఉంటారు కదా, people, young kids read stories. Now while we are narrating or making them read some stories, why can't we give them stories laced with nationalism? For example, all these Thakurma Juli stories are very interesting. Grandmother's Tales. The English translation is Grandmother's Tales. They are very interesting. In this, all the villains are Britishers. Instead of saying that, there is somebody called Ramaya, a peasant, there is another Rajaya who is a Jamindar. No, put him Alfred or Johnson as a British officer. So right from the childhood, you catch them young by creating awareness about the losses, how hopelessly British were behaving in India, what are the losses. There are many stories on Permanent Settlement Act making Cornwallis as the villain. I read some of the translations. Thakur Majuli's Bengali book, but it's translated, it's available actually. Okay, very beautifully scripted stories where right from the childhood people will think the British are villains and it is injection of nationalism to them. Okay, so two songs you have to remember for the prelims point of view also. Rabindranath Tagore, Amar Sonar Bangla, and then D.M. Majumdar, Dakshinaranjan Mitra Majumdar, Thakur Majuli. Then even this nationalistic painting came up for the first time. Till Swadeshi movement, painting was influenced by European themes, big painters. But we have two great painters at this point of time, Abhindranath Tagore and Nandalal Bose. They are the first nationalistic painters who started painting with themes of nationalism and Indian culture and Bengali culture. So this is a wave of nationalistic painting. So culture is literature, nationalistic literature and also painting. Then this National Council of Education, which is headed by Aurobindo Ghosh, they also announced a scholarship, for technical education. If somebody wants to read technical education, they used to go to Britain in those days. Now chala mandi USA lo veltuntaru kada, Britain they used to go. So why do you want to go to Britain? If engineering and other technical education, industrial education have to be read in India or abroad, you go to Japan. So they started giving a scholarship for students for studies abroad, this National Council of Education. And just now I said this Nandalal Bose, who was also a painter, nationalist painter, he was the first student to get this scholarship and studied there. Okay, then new forms of mobilization. There are three interesting aspects. We are talking of masses now, so you can't write a high sounding English article in Hindu and give it to them. They will throw on your face. You don't understand. So they started developing Palle Geetas, village songs. They started having something called Prabhat Fairies. Prabhat Fairies are very interesting. These are early morning nationalistic songs. Okay, Prabhat ante morning, Prabhat's time ante. Prabhat Fairies, see generally Indians are more religious in those days or even maybe today also to an extent, right? ఆ రోజుల్లో లక్కీగా మొబైల్స్ స్మార్ట్ ఫోన్స్ లేవు కాబట్టి అందరూ ఎర్లీగా పడుకునేవారు, నిద్రపోయేవారు. ఇప్పుడు ఎవరు పడుకోవట్లేదు. వెన్ వాట్ టైమ్ యూ స్లీప్? 10? నోనా? హౌ మెనీ పీపుల్ విల్ స్లీప్ ఎట్ 10 o'clock? వెరీ ఫ్యూ, రైట్? సో నోబడీ ఈజ్ స్లీపింగ్, ఎస్పెషల్లీ యంగ్స్టర్స్. మీరు చదివేస్తూ ఉంటే చాలా సంతోషం, ఆనంద బాష్పాలు వచ్చే పరిస్థితి నాకు. కానీ ఓకే, ఐ డోంట్ థింక్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ విల్ రీడ్. I have your age of son and daughter. సో రాత్రి మనం చాటింగ్, ఫోను, ఎవరు పడుకోరు 2-3 వరకు, ఏమి లేకపోతే నెట్ఫ్లిక్స్, పొద్దున్నే లేవలేం, రోజంతా గాను బ్రేక్ఫాస్ట్, లంచ్ టైంలో బ్రేక్ఫాస్ట్ చేయడం, పొద్దున్నే బ్రేక్ఫాస్ట్ స్కిప్ చేయడం ఇవన్నీ అవుతున్నాయి కదా. లక్కీలీ అప్పుడు ఫోన్లు లేవు. సో నేషనల్ మూమెంట్ టైంలో చాలా రోజుల్లో ఏంటంటే బై 6 or 7 ఇండియన్స్ యూస్ టు క్లోజ్ దైర్ షాప్. ఓకే, most of the people are farmers or villagers. Even villages evening today we don't have night life. By villages విజయవాడ వెళ్తే రాత్రి 9 దాటాక అన్నం కూడా దొరకదు. అంతవరకు ఎందుకు మనం? నేషనల్ మూమెంట్. హైదరాబాద్ లక్కీలీ we have night life, we can eat something. If you go to Vijayawada after 10, getting food is very tough. You have to go to star hotels and spend 1 month's salary, that's it. Okay, so they used to get up early. So మార్నింగ్ దే యూస్ టు డూ భజన్స్, రోడ్ల మీద తిరుగుతూ భజనలు చేసేవాళ్ళు. సో ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ డూయింగ్ రిలీజియస్ ప్రేయర్స్, నగర సంకీర్తన, ఇట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ నగర సంకీర్తన. వై కాంట్ వీ డూ ద నేషనలిస్టిక్ భజన్స్? So this Prabhat Fairies are nationalistic songs, including this Amar Sonar, Bangla, or Vande Mataram. There are a lot of Palle Gitas which are written in Bengali, you know. So they were sung, and people were tried to be motivated towards nationalism. They also organized a lot of children into different groups, which we also see in non-cooperation movement. Of course, they are, young girls, small girls, school-going girls. They were organized into groups which are called, Manjira Sena, and boys were organized into groups called Vanara Sena, monkey gang. Okay, so they used to try to distribute something, talk about nationalism, or involve, do some hype, whatever. So it's a great scenario where we had this, Swadeshi movement. Then, at the political level, apart from mobilization, the political level, 1905 session. I already told you the important sessions yesterday. 1905 Benares, right? We have Gopal Krishna Gokhale. By this time, there was a lot of discussion in the Congress within the leaders, moderates and extremists. They are not bifurcated by the time. So there was a lot of pressure on the moderate leadership that, see, we started in August. The movement picked up very well in just 2-3 months. Why can't we have this focus on Swaraj? Okay. Then as a compromise, Gopal Krishna Gokhale made a demand for Swaraj, but he did not define whether it is independence or self-rule. Okay. Later he qualified by meaning Swaraj, we want self-rule. It is not independence. Okay, that became a big issue from 1905 to 1906. In 1906 session, as I said yesterday, the moderates were pressing for 4 resolutions. Extremists were pressing for 4 resolutions. One, the Indian National Congress should adopt a resolution of Swaraj, that we need independence. Swaraj means independence for extremists. Swaraj means self-rule for moderates. Okay, second, there should be a resolution seeking everybody asking to promote Swadeshi. Second resolution. Third resolution, boycott. There should be a resolution for boycott. 4, this National Council of Education. Okay, all these should be going beyond Bengal. That is the point. It's no longer Bengal. The extremists started arguing that, see, we are already launching the movement. Bengal partition is affected anyway. Why are we sticking to only cancellation of Bengal partition or withdrawal? Let us talk about Swaraj now. Let us take the movement to the next level of Swaraj. And Tilak and Bipin Chandrapal and Lala Lajpat Rai, Aravindo Ghosh, they vehemently argued that we should do the Vande Mataram movement across British India. All the time it was only in Bengal. Now let us expand it to the other parts of the British India, so that the British will come to their knees. This is their argument. It was not agreed. But as I said, Dadabhai Naoroji was the president in the Calcutta session. So again he spoke about self-rule and Swaraj in terms of self-rule. So people did not fight when he was there. Matter was shut down. Okay. Then next year came. In 1907, December is a tough situation, because the 1907 session was supposed to be happening in Nagpur, not in Surat. Okay, very important bit. Originally, it was planned to be organized at Nagpur. Nagpur is in Maharashtra. Maharashtra is Tilak's stronghold. Extremism, the stronghold is Maharashtra and Tilak places. Punjab, Maharashtra and all that. Whereas Gujarat is a stronghold for moderates. Remember this. Okay, Firoz Shah Mehta and was the popular leader by that time. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Rash Bihari Ghosh, who was a staunch admirer and supporter of Firoz Shah Mehta. So Firoz Shah Mehta and Rash Bihari Ghosh, without informing, without any consensus, they shifted the venue to Surat. Okay, and without election, without discussion, the moderate leaders also announced Rash Bihari Ghosh will be the president for Surat session. Generally what they used to do is, every session, at the end of the session, they say, when are we organizing the next session? Of course, all Congress sessions are in December. A place in decide chesi voting pedtaru, andru accept chestaru, వెళ్ళిపోతారు. After that, it is not changed. In 1906 session, it was decided that the session will be held in Nagpur. But they changed unilaterally without proper way, proper channel. So Tilak and his followers were very much upset with sudden change of the venue and appointment of Raj Bihari Ghosh as the president, you know, in deviation to the Congress practice of discussing going for election and unanimously electing a president. So anyway, they came for the meeting. 1600 people, 1600 members were attending Surat session on the banks of river Tapti. There was an open ground. They kept a meeting venue there. So all the people were coming. Everybody started scolding each other, extremists and moderates, because how come the session could happen like this? So ఈలోగా ఏమైందంటే ఒక షార్ప్ షూటర్ ఎవడో చెప్పు తీసుకు స్టేజ్ మీదకి ఇసిరెట్టు. నిజంగా జరిగింది అది. ఓకే, కరెక్ట్గా వెళ్ళి ఫిరోజ్ షా మెహతా మొహం మీద ల్యాండ్ అయింది అది. ఫిరోజ్ షా మెహతా వాజ్ ఎన్ అరిస్టోక్రాట్, వెరీ యారగెంట్ ఫెలో. ఓకే, he was a jamindar and very arrogant fellow. Firoz Shah Mehta, Motilal Nehru, వీళ్ళందరూ చాలా టాప్ పీపుల్, నాట్ కామనర్స్. సో ఫిరోజ్ షా మెహతా is very egoistic and he was upset with Tilak, and then the moment this chappal landed on his face perfectly, okay, he got angry and he said Tilak is responsible. ఆయనే వేయించాడు. మన ఎలక్షన్ క్యాంపెయిన్లో ఏపీ జగన్ బాంబ్ మీద ఎవడో కరెక్ట్గా రాయి పక్కన తగిలేటట్టు షూట్ చేశాడు. అవునా కదా, పక్కన కరెక్ట్గా ఏమాత్రం బాగా చూసి కొద్దిగా తగిలేట్టు కొట్టాడు. ఎవరైనా షూట్ చేశాడు మొత్తం చేస్తాడు కానీ ఇక్కడ కొడతాడా? అలాగా ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ ఇన్ ద సేమ్ స్టైల్ ఫిరోజ్ షా మెహతా షూ వాస్ డ్రాప్డ్ అండ్ తిలక్ వాస్ బ్లేమ్డ్ ఫర్ ఇట్, అండ్ ఇమీడియట్లీ హీ కాల్డ్ ద పోలీస్ వితౌట్ కన్సల్టింగ్ ఎనీబడి. హూ? ఫిరోజ్ షా మెహతా. సో బ్రిటిష్ police stepped in, British Indian police, they lathi charged and sent all the people away, and immediately we have Minto, who is the viceroy, immediately started making the statement that, see, this is how hopeless is Indian nationalism. The Indian National Congress members are fighting, and the British police, we have to send British police and ensure law and order. People started making a mockery. Tilak apologized. Tilak was ready for a compromise. He said, see, okay, we'll discuss on these 4 resolutions which we are demanding. That is, Swaraj. 4 resolutions you have to remember: Swaraj, Swadeshi, boycott, national education. I am ready for a compromise. We will not even put Swaraj, we will agree it as a self-rule. Even if you want to extend Vande Mataram movement to British India later, I am ready. Let us discuss. But without giving any opportunity for discussion, this Firoz Shah Mehta ensured that Tilak, these 4 leaders and all their followers are suspended or expelled, not suspended, expelled from the Congress. So this is called Surat split. Okay, and friends, this is a major blow. This is a major blow to Indian nationalism, because after the Surat split, the most affected thing was Indian national movement. This Vande Mataram movement or Swadeshi movement or anti-partition movement was at its peak. Lot of youngsters, students, women and peasants were also trying to join. At this point of time, sudden vacuum came in the leadership. Moderates were not interested in taking this forward. Tilak was arrested and sent to Mandalay jail in Burma. Remember, Mandalay jail is in Burma. Okay, that was asked once, where is Mandalay jail? It is not in Mushirabad, Burma. Okay, Mushirabad jail is an old jail. Gandhi hospital there used to be old jail. Okay, so ఇవి ఎక్కడున్నాయి కొన్ని గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి. ఇటువంటివి Mandalay jail is in Burma, right? Then this Bipin Chandra Pal temporarily retired from the politics, and Aurobindo Ghosh was arrested, but later he was proved to be an innocent, and he quit entire national movement and became a spiritual guru. He went to Pondicherry and set up Aurobindo Ashram. We have Lala Lajpat Rai. He went to Britain for some time, then again he left for US. Okay, so entire top leadership, Tilak was in jail, okay, up to 1914. Entire top leaders of extremist leaders were in jail, so the movement had no leadership. Moderates were not interested in taking forward the anti-partition movement, because the British government started following something called carrot and stick policy. You have to understand what is carrot and stick policy. Carrot is carrot only, stick is stick only. Carrot తినేది కదా, stick కొట్టేది. So when 2 groups are there who are not agreeing with each other and you are fighting with me, I will treat some group properly. I will give them some carrot to eat, and other group are arrested. Now moderates were being praised by the British government, Minto and Marley. They said, see, you are great people, you are always proper, you are always lovers of Queen Victoria, so why are you fighting? We will give you one more round of constitutional reforms which you have been asking from 1906. Okay, so wait, we will give you everything as per your demands, expansion of councils. See, those people are not good, they are not listening to you. Chala, divide and rule. Carrot and stick policy is again deployment of divide and rule, and it is a shame that none of the moderate leaders even condemned the arrest of the extremist leaders. They are celebrating. So these people were in jail. Moderates were not interested in taking up the movement. So Swadeshi movement came down. Okay. Continue to write. Surat split, you can get a separate question. Okay. Let me explain one last point. You might ask me. You are not asking, so I will only ask and tell. Okay. Why leaders agreed for Surat split then? Gopal Krishna Gokhale is a good leader. Okay. Firoz Shah Mehta is a good leader but egoistic. Why there was a situation that Surat split could not be stopped? You know, even Lala Lajpat Rai was critical of the Surat split and Tilak and Gokhale. Somebody asked Tilak when he was in jail. Okay, see, you are a great leader. Gopal Krishna Gokhale is also a great leader. You two being the leaders, why could not you stop the split? Then Tilak gave a wonderful response. Tilak said, see, me and Gokhale have become prisoners of our followers. Okay. Tilak also said, it was like riding a tiger for me in 1907. Okay. See, riding a tiger is very interesting as long as we are sitting on top of it, back of it. Kindaki digite, ila venakki tirigi tinaledu kabatti, we will sit on the tiger back. But the moment you step down, it will maul you, it will eat you. So Tilak was saying, I was riding on high popularity, which is like a tiger. So once my followers reached that level, I was not in a position to bring them back and ask them to not to fight. So it is not a fight between the leaders, it is a fight between the followers. And followers reached such a level where they would not listen to leaders and they would control the situation. So that is what Tilak had given. చాలా మంచి ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఉంది దీనికి. తెలంగాణ మూమెంట్లో తెలంగాణ ఇవ్వడానికి ముందు మన కేసీఆర్ గారు కొత్త పద్ధతిలో నిరాహార దీక్ష కనుక్కుని పేటెంట్ అప్లై చేశారు. ఏమిటది? సెలైన్ పెట్టుకుని నిరాహార దీక్ష చేయడం. నిరాహార దీక్ష అంటే ఏమిటి? ఫాస్టింగ్. ఫాస్టింగ్ అంటే తినకుండా ఉండాలి కదా. సెలైన్ అన్నం కన్నా బలం. సో ఈ హ్యాడ్ ఇన్నోవేటెడ్ ఏ న్యూ సిస్టమ్ వేర్ యూ వుడ్ టేక్ సెలైన్ అండ్ డూ. ఆ సెలైన్లో ఏం పెట్టారో కూడా మనకు తెలియదు, ఎందుకంటే ఆయనకి కావాల్సినవి వేరే ఉన్నాయి. రైట్. సో సెలైన్ పెట్టుకుని నిరాహార దీక్ష ఏంటండి అసలు? ఎవరైనా చేస్తారా? సెలైన్ పెట్టుకుని నిరాహార దీక్ష చేస్తే మనం 100 ఏళ్ళు బతకచ్చు తినకుండా. ఓకే. ఎనీవే, ఈ నిరాహార దీక్ష చేసినప్పుడు ఫర్ తెలంగాణ ఒక ఫైండ్, నేను ఓయూలో ఉండేవాడిని క్యాంపస్ క్వార్టర్స్లో. మై వైఫ్ ఈజ్ ఎ ప్రొఫెసర్ దేర్, సో యూస్ టు బీ ఇన్ క్వార్టర్స్, మన లా కాలేజ్ ఆపోజిట్ క్వార్టర్స్. అండ్ మై కిడ్స్ వర్ రీడింగ్ ఇన్ దట్ అరబిందో స్కూల్. దాంట్లో అరబిందో స్కూల్ అని ఉంది. మై వైఫ్ కూడా అక్కడే చదివింది. సో దానికి ఎమోషనల్ లెగసీ. మళ్ళీ ఫోర్స్ చేసి నన్ను బ్లాక్మెయిల్ చేసి అక్కడే జాయిన్ చేసింది. ఓకే. సో మాకు పెద్ద ప్రాబ్లం, తెలంగాణ మూమెంట్లో చాలా ప్రాబ్లం అయిపోయింది. ఎందుకంటే ఆ గేట్లు ఎప్పుడు వేసేస్తారో తెలియదు. పాపం స్టూడెంట్స్ మీద లాఠీచార్జ్ చేసేవారు. సో ఇష్టం అక్కడే తిరుగుతూ ఉండేవాడిని. మధ్య మధ్యలో క్లాసులు వెళ్ళడం, స్కూల్కి వెళ్ళడం, పిల్లల్ని పికప్ చేసుకోవడం. సో సడన్గా ఈవినింగ్ 4కో 5కో ఈయన కేసీఆర్ గారు అనౌన్స్ చేశారు, నిరాహార దీక్ష మానేస్తున్నాను అని. మన గొట్టాల వాళ్ళు ఉంటారు కదా, టీవీలు వాళ్ళు, టీవీ 9 వీళ్ళందరూ, వాళ్ళందరూ వెళ్ళి అన్నీ అడుగుతూ ఉంటారు. ఎవరో చచ్చిపోయారు అనుకోండి, వెళ్ళి గొట్టం పెడతాడు. ఎలా ఫీల్ అవుతున్నారు మీరు? ఎస్ఎల్బిసిలో అయింది కదా కెనాల్, ఇంకా పాపం 6 దొరకలా. వాడి దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి అయిన వారం రోజులకి మీరు ఎలా ఫీల్ అవుతున్నారని అడిగాడు. బూతులు తిట్టింది ఆవిడ. ఒక ఆవిడ బుద్ధి ఉందా? వాళ్ళు లోపల ఉన్నారో లేదో తెలియదు. ఎలా ఫీల్ అవుతాం? సెలబ్రేట్ చేసుకుంటాం. సో వీళ్ళు అడిగే ప్రశ్నలకి అర్థాలు ఉండవు. టీవీ వాళ్ళు అడిగేవి. అందుకే వాళ్ళ గొట్టాలు గాలని పేరు పెట్టాను. గొట్టం పెడుతూ ఉంటారు ప్రతిదానికి. చెప్పండి ఎలా ఫీల్ అవుతున్నారు? నవ్వుతూ. మన జగన్ మామ కూడా ప్రతిదానికి నవ్వుతూనే ఉంటారు. ఎవరైనా చనిపోయినా వెళ్ళి ఇలా నవ్వుతూ వచ్చి ఉంటారు. అవునా కదా, చూసారా? నేను ఎప్పుడు ఆయన ఎప్పుడు చిరుమందహాసం, ఎవరు బతికినా చచ్చినా పోయినా నవ్వడం. ఆయన అంటే జనాలకు ఇంకో భయం కూడా ఉంది, ఎస్పెషల్లీ అమ్మాయిలకి లేడీస్కి. ఆయన హగ్గింగ్ అండ్ కిస్సింగ్ క్యాంపెయిన్ 2019 ఎలక్షన్స్, 19 ఎలక్షన్స్ పాదయాత్ర చేశాడు ఆయన. పాదయాత్ర చేసినప్పుడు ఆయన దగ్గరికి వెళ్తే అమ్మాయిలు అందరూ వెనక్కి వెళ్ళిపోవడం. ఎందుకంటే కౌగిలించుకోవడం, ముద్దు పెట్టేసుకోవడం, మళ్ళీ ఇలా నవ్వడం. సో ఇందుకే ఏంటంటే ఆయన నిరాహార దీక్ష విరమిస్తున్నానని ప్రకటించాడు. ఇమ్మీడియట్లీ ఓయూలో దిష్టి బొమ్మలు తగలెట్టడం, సూపర్ గొడవ అయిపోయింది. ఐ వాజ్ దేర్, ఎన్సీసీ గేట్ దగ్గర. అంతవరకు కేసీఆర్ని పొగిన వాళ్ళందరూ తిట్టడం మొదలెట్టారు. ఎంత గట్టిగా తిట్టారంటే 1 అవర్లో ఆయన మళ్ళీ స్టేట్మెంట్ ఇచ్చాడు, లేదు లేదు నేను మానేయట్లేదు, నేను తిన్నాను. అంటే సి ఏ లీడర్ హూ వాజ్ ఆన్ ఫాస్ట్ ఆన్ టు డెత్ వాంటెడ్ టు స్టాప్ ఇట్, బట్ పీపుల్ డిడ్ నాట్ అలౌ హిమ్ టు స్టాప్. ఆ గొడవ భరించలేక లేదు లేదు నేను కంటిన్యూ చేస్తున్నాను, అప్పుడు సిలైన్ పెట్టుకున్నాడు. ఓకే, సో తిలక్ అండ్ అదర్స్ బికమింగ్ ప్రిజనర్స్ ఆఫ్ ఫాలోయర్స్ అంటే ఇదే. We want to do something, but we raise tempers to such a level where nobody will listen to us, we have to listen to them. So there was no choice for Tilak and Gokhale. They did not want a split, but they could not stop it. We can expect 2 questions on this. 2 ways of asking questions on Swadeshi movement. Then Surat split. What led to Surat split? What is its impact? Why it could not be prevented like this? ఇప్పుడు కంటిన్యూ చేయండి. ఎంతవరకు రాశారు? స్వదేశీ మూమెంట్ అసలు రాయలే మనం, ఎంత చెప్పలేదు. స్వదేశీ మూమెంట్ రాయండి. స్వదేశీ మూమెంట్ ఆర్ వందే మాతరం మూమెంట్. 1903 December to 1907 December. December to 1907 December. First point, the anti-partition movement in Bengal put an oblique, Swadeshi movement put an oblique, Vande Mataram movement heralded, HERALDED, heralded a new beginning on the turn of new beginning, turn this end, new beginning in the 20th century. The 20th century. Next, అదే point లో, according to Bipin Chandra, Swadeshi movement was like a miniature, replica of Indian national movement as it had all strands of it, of it. Okay, continue in this. From conservative nationalism to political extremism, political extremism from incipient or infant, from infant revolutionary terrorism, from infant revolutionary terrorism to Swadeshi, boycott, and passive resistance, put a hyphen, small hyphen, all could be seen in this movement. Okay. If you read these notes, you can still manage. I'm not saying you shouldn't. You can still manage if you are not reading 3 books which I said, Grover, Bipin Chandra and Sumit Sarkar. Okay. So first you read this NCERT and then this. So definitely notes అంతా చదవండి. ఎందుకంటే క్వశ్చన్స్ ఆర్ బేస్డ్ ఆన్ వాట్ ఐఎమ్ డిక్టేటింగ్. ఈవెన్ హౌ ద క్వశ్చన్స్ ఆర్ ఆస్క్డ్, అందులో సెంటెన్సెస్ అడుగుతారు. మీరు పాత పేపర్స్ చూస్తే తెలుస్తుంది. ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యావ్ టైమ్ విల్ ట్రై టు డూ సమ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ ఇన్ ద ప్రీవియస్ పేపర్స్. ఓకే, బట్ ఇఫ్ యూ వన్స్ సీ ప్రీవియస్ క్వశ్చన్స్ యూ విల్ అండర్స్టాండ్ దట్ ద నోట్స్ ఈజ్ ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ ఆన్ దోస్ లైన్స్. సో ప్లీజ్ డోంట్ ఫర్గెట్ టు రీడ్ ఆల్ దిస్. ద టైం తీసుకు డిక్టేట్ చేయడం అందుకే. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ పాయింట్, the main causes for partition of Bengal were, put a small a, an attempt to dethrone Calcutta as a seat of Indian nationalism, intellectualism and cultural leadership. B, it was also to hit the backbone of Congress. It was also to hit the backbone of Congress and the national movement for their own political advantages. Okay, right? Home Secretary Risley, అదే పాయింట్లో రాయండి. Home Secretary Risley, RISCLY, Risley, observed in quotes, Bengal united is power. Put 3 dots and write, Bengal divided will pull, Bengal divided will pull in different ways for us End the quotes. Next point. Cudgen's Viceroy Cudgen's statements. Viceroy Cudgen's, Curjon apostrophe S. Viceroy Cudgen's statements also revealed that the argument of administrative convenience was not the real reason, even though Bengal was the largest British province in India. With a population of 78 million. Next point. The partition was planned in such a way that Bengal would be divided on communal lines. Right in the same point. East Bengal with capital at Dhaka, DECCA. East Bengal with capital at Dhaka will have majority of Muslims. While West Bengal will have majority of Hindus. Next point. Further, FURTH here. Further, the Bengalis will be a linguistic and cultural minority in their own state, dominated by Hindi and Oriya speaking people. Okay. Next point. These were the grounds on which the national leaders opposed the partition of Bengal. Okay, right? Next point. The first phase of the movement from December 1903 to July 1905 was led by Surendranath Banerjee, K.K. Mitra, K.K. Mitra, and P.C. Ray, P.C. Prithvish Chandra Ray. Okay. In moderate methods. Right in the same point. The first largest public meeting was organized by Surendranath Banerjee, in Calcutta Town Hall in July 1905. Okay. Next point. However, this did not work out as government officially announced partition of Bengal to be effective from October 16, 1905. Okay. Next point. On August 7, 1905, the Swadeshi movement was formally launched. Okay. By the extremist leaders put a hyphen, Balagangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, Aravindo Ghosh, sorry, Lajpat Rai Ryan first. Bipin Chandra Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai, then Aravindo Ghosh, okay. Next point. The main methods of struggle were boycott of foreign goods, schools, government offices, and courts, C-O-U-R-T-S, courts. Next point. Okay. A main aspect of Swadeshi movement was focus on Atma Shakti, ATMA, Atma Shakti in brackets self-reliance across areas and Promotion of solidarity. Okay. Next point. As part of this, PC Ray opened Bengal Chemicals, a highly successful Swadeshi enterprise. Many local enterprises were set up which were popular. In brackets we write down Sarala Devi Chowdharani. Sarala Devi Chowdharani set up a Swadeshi store called Lakshmir Bhandar. Lakshmir Bhandar. Next. Cultural nationalism was another facet continue in that. Abhindranath Tagore, Abhindra, Abhandra, Abhindranath Tagore along with his friend E.B. Havel set up a nationalist art school in Calcutta. I am giving a bit more facts for the preliminary point of view. The mains you can cut down, give one example. Master that, okay? ఎందుకంటే ఇవన్నీ ప్రిలిమ్స్లో కూడా చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. మైన్యూట్ ఏరియాస్ నేషనల్ మూమెంట్లో దేర్ విల్ బి క్వశ్చన్స్ ఫ్రమ్ మైన్యూట్ ఏరియాస్ ఇన్ ద ప్రిలిమ్స్. నెక్స్ట్ వన్ సేమ్ పాయింట్లో రాయండి, ఐ మీన్ సేమ్ కల్చరల్ పాయింట్లో. నందలాల్ బోస్ who received a scholarship to study in Japan also became a nationalist painter. Also became a nationalist painter. Apurva Kumar Ghosh. Next point. Apurva Kumar Ghosh along with Prabhat Kusum Roy, Prabhat, Prabhat Kusum Roy, organized laborers, organized workers, laborers, you can use any one of them, okay, into unionism for the first time, and attempted to spread nationalism. Next one, Ashwini Kumar Datta, set up Barisal Congress. And Swadeshi Bhandav Samiti, Barisal Congress, and Swadeshi Bhandav Samiti to promote solidarity and spread spirit of nationalism. Okay. Next point. Nationalist literature also flourished, Flourished, flourished. Continue. Rabindranath Tagore wrote popular song Amar Sonar Bangla, Amar Sonar Bangla, which became the national anthem of Bangladesh later. D.M. Mazumdar wrote Thakurma Juli, which became very popular among children as nationalistic stories. Add one sentence. This cultural nationalism also influenced the forms of struggle okay. Palle Geetas, put a hyphen and write Palle Geetas, Palle, Palle Geetas, Prabhat Fairies, became popular. Next point. This was also the time when Vande Mataram, originally written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, became the national slogan. Next point. Though the movement was confined to Bengal, in execution ఇది యాడ్ చేయండి. ఈ సాంగ్ ఆనందమట్ అనే దాంట్లో ఉంది. బంకిం చంద్ర చటర్జీ, ఇట్స్ ఏ బుక్ రిటర్న్ ఆనందమట్. ఓకే, సారీ వాట్ డిడ్ ఐ సే? తర్వాత దాని ముందు ఏ పాయింట్? కన్ఫైన్ టు బెంగాల్, in execution, put a comma, it was widely popularized outside Bengal by Tilak in Maharashtra, Lala Lajpat Rai in Punjab and North India, Syed Haider Raja in Delhi, Bipin Chandra Pal in Andhra, and Chidambaram Pillai in Madras, next point. It brought large number of students and women into the fold of national movement. Due to the impact of divide and rule policy of Karjan and later Minto, the Muslim participation was limited. Continue. The Shimla deputation DEPUTATION of 1906, deputation of 1906 led to the formation of All India Muslim League in Dhaka, Bangladesh, in Dhaka in 1906 by Sultan Aga Khan, supported by Khawaja Salimullah. Okay, next point. In 1905 session, while the movement was on, Gopal Krishna Gokhale in Benares session mentioned Swaraj from the Congress platform, which was repeated by Dadabhai Nauroji in Calcutta session in 1906 session. Okay, next point. From 1906 to December, from 1906 to December 1907, the movement attracted great response outside Bengal too, TOO2. Okay, the extremist leaders demanded that 1907 session should pass 4 resolutions one by one రాయండి. ఈ ప్రిలిమ్స్ లో కూడా అడగచ్చు వన్ బై వన్. Replacement of demand for withdrawal of partition of Bengal to demand for Swaraj next one. 2 resolutions. Extension of Swadeshi and boycott. Extension of Swadeshi and boycott. 2 separate items. Okay. to entire British India. Like a point cheppe kada. In execution, all the time it was only in Bengal. Now they want this to be expanded to entire British India. Swadeshi and boycott. Okay. Next point. Extension of the activities of the National Council of Education beyond Bengal to entire British India. Okay. Next point. The objection of moderates to these demands and sudden shift of venue of the session from Nagpur to Surat and naming of NAMING, naming of Rash Bihari Ghosh, RASH, Rash Bihari Ghosh, 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 as President of Surat Session of 1907 led to serious disturbances, serious clashes, you say, led to serious clashes, CLASHES, between moderates and extremists in the course of the session. Okay. The suspension, the expelling of extremist leaders and their supporters from the Congress and the subsequent arrest of the leaders brought the movement suddenly down. Okay. So you have classes throughout the day generally? Every day. Afternoon optional. Okay. See, I am trying to complete this before 26th. That's the reason we had class today. Modern India, post-independence stuff. So tomorrow you have classes? Don't know means you will have. I will have now. We'll see. Office will inform. We are not in hurry to complete. We are covering in detail as you have seen. But 27th onwards, I may travel for 4-5 days. So we'll see. If possible, we will try to have some additional classes. I will talk to your office. Huh? Okay. See you then. See, this requires lot of writing practice. అదర్వైజ్ యూ కాంట్ గెట్ మార్క్స్. విన్నప్పుడు బాగానే ఉంటుంది. వన్స్ యూ పుట్ పెన్ ఆన్ పేపర్ దెన్ ఇట్ ఈస్ టఫ్. స్టార్ట్ రైటింగ్ ఎక్స్టెన్సివ్లీ. ఓన్లీ రైటింగ్ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తేనే వస్తుంది. వేరియస్ వేస్. ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ వీ హ్యావ్ డిక్టేటెడ్ ఆల్ ద నోట్స్ ఐ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్. ఇఫ్ దెర్ ఇస్ ఎ క్వశ్చన్ ఆన్ స్వదేశీ మూమెంట్ ఈజ్ ఏ mini or miniature replica of Indian national movement, analyze 250 words, whatever you have understood, listen and read, then you should be able to write it. ఇది ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తే కానీ అవ్వదు, లేకపోతే ఎగ్జామ్లో మీరేం రాయలేరు. ఎవరైనా, మీరేనే కాదు, ఖాళీ కూర్చొని వచ్చేయడం అవుతుంది. సో డూ ఎక్స్టెన్సివ్ ప్రాక్టీస్. డైలీ ఒక 2 క్వశ్చన్స్ చేయండి. స్పీడ్ పెరగాలి. ఓకే, రైటింగ్ స్పీడ్ పెరగాలి. 3 hours రాయగలగాలి. మైండ్ షుడ్ వర్క్ కంటిన్యూస్లీ ఫర్ 5 days. అవునా కదా? రకరకాల సబ్జెక్టులు మధ్యలో గ్యాప్స్ ఎవరు? ఎగ్జామ్ యూపీఎస్సీ ఎగ్జామ్స్ మొదలైంటే టకటకా అయిపోతాయి. సో యూ షుడ్ బి ఏబుల్ టు మెంటల్లీ ఫిట్, ఫిజికల్లీ ఫిట్ అండ్ అకాడమికల్లీ నాలెడ్జబుల్. ఓకే, సో బాగా ప్రిపేర్ అయ్యి అనలైజ్ చేసి రాస్తే మంచి మార్క్స్ వస్తాయి. లేకపోతే ఏంటంటే ఈవెన్ మెయిన్స్ రాసినా దగ్గరికి వచ్చి ఆగిపోవడం, ఇలా ఉపయోగం లేదు. ఫస్ట్ అటెంప్ట్లో ర్యాంక్ రావాలంటే రైటింగ్ ప్రాక్టీస్ ఇన్ n నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ పాసిబిలిటీస్. ఒక్కో టాపిక్ నుంచి క్వశ్చన్స్ ఎలా వస్తాయి, మనం చెప్పుకున్నట్టు అలా అడుగుతారు, ఇలా అడుగుతారు, అవన్నీ రాయండి. ఓకే, దట్ విల్ హెల్ప్ యూ అవుట్. ఓకే, independently because national movement is understood in a strand. For example, from 1920, 1915, we have caste movement. Okay? That is a separate. Both of left ideology, separate topic. Both of modern industries, is a separate topic. Try to contextually. Once we come to freedom, get back to this topic. Famine is an independent topic.